Hello, everyone. It is Ryan Thompson, host of Pear Tree Sports. Today, we're interviewing fellow Dan Patrick School of Sportscasting student and host of the Reyna Rewind, Daniel Reyna. Daniel, thank you for being here today.
Pleasure's all mine, man.
All right. So, with both of us being Chiefs fans, that's what we're going to start with. So, the Chiefs, in between Super Bowl 54 and Super Bowl 4, went 50 years without winning a Super Bowl. What did winning Super Bowl 54 mean to you as a Chiefs fan?
Well, it meant to me because it was the first time seeing it.
Yeah.
I've been a fan since '93, since Joe Montana and Marcus Allen went there. So I witnessed all the, I call them reject 49er quarterbacks, right? From Elvis Gerbach, Steve Bono, and then we went to Trent Green and Rich Gannon, and so to me to finally see them win the ring, I was in love. I was like, finally, I gotta wear my jersey at the last game of the season because I would never wear my jersey to the Super Bowl party. I just come straight like just like this, plain clothes, no Chief gear. If my team's not in it, I'm not wearing it. As soon as
Yeah.
we're out, jersey gets hung up back in the closet. Time for my next sport.
I definitely understand that. And with the Chiefs' recent success and the mediocre kind of reject years you talked about, was there any sort of pregame ritual that you as a fan have before games?
Yes, I do not watch the games with anybody. I watch them alone in my room. I had to get talked into having Super Bowl parties, and even those were mediocre. Okay, yeah, I had a couple people come over for the first one because I was so nervous. The the Tampa, I don't talk about Super Bowl. I went a little bit out. I bought the cutout of Patrick Mahomes. I went
Yeah,
and got this, and I was like feeling confident. I had all my retired jerseys hung up, and it was all nice and like Red Kingdom in
yeah,
my living room. And then we got blown out. So this past Super Bowl, then when it was the Eagles, nothing.
yeah. See,
49er
I'm,
49er one, I had maybe one person, and then they left early, so I was by
oh
myself.
man,
So I was like, perfect. I'm by
yeah,
myself. I do not like watching Chief games. My family even leaves. They like, oh, he's watching the Chiefs. Let him. We're not gonna bother
leave them
him.
alone. See, we're sort of the same way. My entire family are real diehard Chiefs fans. And so we watch the games together. But when it comes to Super Bowl parties, if we're in the Super Bowl, don't talk to me.
Yeah.
So obviously you've been a Chiefs fan for a while. You saw Tony Gonzalez and Travis Kelsey. Out of those two, who do you think is the better tight end?
Tony Gonzalez. Tony
Why is
Gonzalez,
that?
I think, just he changed the game, right? If it wasn't for him, there'd be no Travis Kelsey, there'd be no Gronk either. They showed that a basketball player can be a great tight end, and you know, people like to compare Tony Gonzalez also to Antonio Gates, but I think if there's no Tony Gonzalez, there's no Antonio Gates, there's no Rob Gronkowski, there's no Travis Kelsey. To me, Tony Gonzalez all time.
Revolutionary, to put it
Yeah.
simply. Um, so obviously you speak very highly of Tony Gonzalez. Is he your favorite Chief of all time? And if not, who is?
No, he's not. Oddly enough, my favorite Chief of all time is Derek Thomas. Behind me, if you can see a little bit, that's my Derek Thomas jersey framed. Framed. I have him. He was my all-time favorite Chief player. In fact, I kid you not, I know the day where I was at when I got the news or when I saw the news of his tragic passing, and it broke me. I've always wanted his jersey, and then I got his jersey much years later. And then when I was redoing my room, I was like, I'm framing this jersey. I outgrew it, and I was like, I'm just gonna frame it. So yeah, he is my all-time favorite.
So you spoke about you know where you were, you know what was happening. Um, Speak a little more on that, on where you were and what was going on when you found about his death.
So I was in high school, and I was in the library just surfing on the web, and this is going back like 20 something years ago. Okay. I'm that old. Um So I was just going, and I went to ESPN like I always do. I go to ESPN.com just looking at things, and then it says linebacker Derek Thomas dies from car accident, and I just dropped like I couldn't believe it. And then when I found out that it's because it was snowing and wasn't wearing his seatbelt, it was crushing because like why weren't you wearing your seatbelt? You would have saved your life. And yeah, it was I was in shock. I think I was in shock for like that whole day. Like I couldn't believe it. I was rushing home after school to turn on Sports Center to like see what was covering or what they covered. But it was very crushing.
Very unfortunate. All time great already. Could have been the greatest of all time, quite possibly. Obviously, with the Chiefs' recent success, they won back to back Super Bowls, going for the three-peat. What do you think stands in the way of the Chiefs' three-peat?
Themselves, honestly. I mean, if look, everybody are the worst year the Chiefs had, and they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
If they hold on, if they get a couple of receivers, Xavier Worthy, Rasheed Rice, if things pan out to where he's not on the commissioner's exempt list or anything like that, it's themselves. I don't. I think there's nobody other than. I mean, the Chargers scare me for the division. However, the Ravens are probably the only team I think that can compete with the Chiefs of going to back to the Super Bowl. So it's themselves. If they beat themselves, with we have Mahomes, I don't go against them.
yeah. All right. Transitioning from one sport to another, you're obviously a very big Dodgers fan. Who is your favorite Dodger of all time?
Mike Sosha.
Why is that?
I played catcher growing up in Little League at high school, and he was the catcher for the '98 World Series, and he's my favorite Dodger. I have a patch that says of a hero patch on that I have of his, and they sold those a few years ago, and that's the one I got. He is I just like the way he played. He played down and dirty. He was getting collided on. He wasn't that great of a hitter, but he called a great game, and he couldn't. He would block the plate back when you can block the plate.
Yeah. So your Dodgers, they made some big moves this offseason with the signing of Otani and a few others. What was your favorite move that they made this offseason?
Well, I wouldn't lie. I wouldn't lie and say, yeah, it wasn't Otani was great, but as the season's going, Teoscar Hernandez is what I'm like. What a diamond in the rough
Yeah,
because he's been playing out of his mind and carrying this team. We saw him what he did against the Yankees. We've seen him what he did against the Rockies. He's just carrying this team, and he's like unsung hero flying right under the radar with all those other stars.
I definitely understand that. A little diamond in the rough never hurt anybody. So with the Dodgers, they're having a lot of success this year. Why will or why won't they win the World Series this year?
They will win the World Series if they can learn how to play in the postseason with key pitching and key hitting when the runners are scoring position. They will not win the World Series if they rely on the long ball and don't get enough pitching.
Simple, fundamental things.
Fundamental.
So it's obviously really nice to talk to another wrestling fan. Most wrestling fans are not very vocal about their fandom in wrestling. Who is your favorite wrestler of all time?
So I'm gonna get a lot of heat for this, but it's Hulk Hogan. I grew up a Hulkamaniac, so I understand that people don't like him now these days. But when I grew up, it was the red and yellow, and then it turned into the NWO. But he's my favorite all time player. I dressed up like him for Halloween when I was a kid back in the day, right? And people were Warrior fans. I was a Hogan fan.
So, with Hogan being your favorite, what's your favorite version of Hogan? Is it early Hogan, NWO Hogan, Hollywood Hogan?
I liked the early Hogan when it comes to saying your prayers, eating your vitamins, the red and yellow. I didn't really watch him that much when he transitioned to WCW until he turned into the NWO Hogan. I was in the Attitude Era. I was watching more WWF Attitude Era. But yeah, when he left and then he turned into the NWO, I missed the run of him as the red and when the red and yellow WCW just straight out got there. I missed that run. But I would have to say I enjoyed my memories are from when he was red and yellow WWF at the time.
Yeah. So wrestling is often looked down upon for being fake. That's what people call it. We've heard that a lot. Why should people give wrestling a chance?
It's theater. Everything you watch on TV, unless it's a sport, is fake. There is no superheroes. There is no guy out there that gets mad and turns green and gets 7 feet taller and 300 and something pounds. Like there's nobody like that. It's all theater. It's drama. I call it soap operas. It's a male soap opera and it's fun. Yes, the storylines are written out and everybody knows what's going on, but you still need to perform them, right? You still need to perform what they can do. There's no way of like there's no teaching getting thrown off a ladder. I don't care if the ladder is aluminum, wood. There's no teaching just falling off on that canvas. The plywood's like this thick,
Yeah.
so they hurt. It's gonna hurt, and there's no teaching that, and it's theater. So I don't like the F word. I'm like, get out of here. You just don't understand it.
See, to me, I always explained it as scripted, not fake.
Right.
They're still taking all of the same bumps. They don't have stuntmen, they are their own stuntmen. What's your favorite storyline of all time or your favorite current storyline in wrestling?
So my favorite storyline of all time, I'm Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. I was a Bret Hart fan. At the same time, I got turned in, I switched and I went into the DX and I love the DX and everything. So I love that storyline, all of it, especially the whole USA versus Canada. And it's when they went to Canada, how they were the biggest favorites and Shawn Michaels was the biggest heels, and then when vice versa, when they were in the States, everybody couldn't stand Bret. And my current one, oddly enough, is waiting to see Otis turn on Chad Gable, even though after what we saw this past Monday, and I don't know what's going on with Chad Gable because the Uncle Howdy thing was Halloween Horror Nights. Like it was just that good. But I've been waiting for Otis to just like I know he's pushed him here and there, but I've been waiting for him to like just go after him and win a match, I guess.
I'm glad you touched a little bit on the Uncle Howdy debut with the tragic passing of Bray Wyatt. How do you want to see this group kind of push? Do you want it to go slow? Do you want it to be fast? Do you want them to see championships in the future? How would you book it?
Well, I'm glad they debuted because it was getting pretty stale with the QR code. So I was like, you need to debut already before you lose steam. They need to be fierce and they need to be scaried and they need to be dominant. They can't go out there right now and lose a match. Right? Do they need a gold? Not yet. Maybe WrestleMania, maybe the Royal Rumble. Like give it some time to breathe, cook, and do things. However, if they go in there and they make it to where how they made the Fiend, Bray Wyatt's old character, to where he loses into in a steel cage or a Hell in a Cell match, that character can't lose. He's not, at least not now. I mean, you have to have some crazy things for him to beat. That's what made the Undertaker so great. It was like going into WrestleMania, he's not gonna lose
Yeah.
until he did. That's how I think these guys need to do it. They need to keep going, but they can't water them down. And under Triple H, I think they'll be okay.
So my last question for you, Daniel, is a little more personal and has nothing to do with sports. You're a very proud father. What would be your advice to someone who wants to be a father in the future or is expecting to be a father soon?
Enjoy it. Enjoy every moment you have with your kids, because you you never know when it's when they're too old. You'll be like, where are they at? I mean, I love it. And if even if your kids, you don't have, my kids don't like to play sports, right? And they'll watch it here and there. However, they love when I do this, like I'll do a podcast, or I'll do, so we started doing picks for football picks, weekly football picks, and they loved it. And to the point where we have a trophy now, and it's once a week. And don't pressure them. Like, I don't pressure them. We do it. Sometimes it's a 7 week season, and then we don't do it for the rest of the year. Sometimes I finished all the way to the Super Bowl, but they loved it. My enjoy them, take them to places, because that's what I did. I took my kids to the NFL experience in Miami when the Chiefs went to Super Bowl that first time. And my oldest became a Dolphin fan because there was a team in Miami. And my youngest is now a Bronco fan because of her grandma. And but you know, enjoy it, spend as much time as you can with them. And if you're, because it goes fast. And my kids are 10, 8 already, and they're on their own. Like, you know, but before it was great, they'd watch, but they'll come back. But just enjoy it.
Again, Daniel, I want to thank you so much for being here today. I'm going to give you an opportunity now to plug your socials, give people a reason to care about Daniel Reyna.
Well, you can always follow me on Reyna Rewind on TikTok, YouTube, Twitter. Like I said, we go football season. We have daddy versus daughter pick'ems, and as well as I do a weekly podcast. And during the football season, we do watch along Chief games. So I will sit here on the computer watching the Chiefs, reacting to it. You get my live reaction. Come in. I will talk with you, give you chats, and maybe even bring you on, and we can watch it together.
All right. Again, thank you. And thank you, the viewer, for watching this. I'm Ryan Thompson with Pear Tree Sports, signing out.